Shalom, Shalom. I want to start off source by giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS and honors to you brothers doing the work in truth while sincerity. It's a quick one. It's actually been on my mind for a while, but just not got around to doing it. So Lord's will, I can hit it. Lord's will can be edifying breakdown, right? But it's the importance of 5G for this man's agenda, right? So you see, for instance, here at the top, you've got that graph. Says 3G has a maximum speed of 384 kilobits per second. 4G, so what basically everyone uses at the moment, has a max speed of 100 megabits per second. And 5G has a whopping maximum of 10 gigabits per second, right? So 10 gigabits per second. Says while this is from How to Geek. What is 5G? How fast will it be? How to Geek. Says while 4G tops out at a theoretical 100 megabits per second, with a small b. Technical note there for you. If you notice, whenever they advertise internet, it's always in meg. They all say meg. If they're talking out loud, they'll say meg. Because what they're referring to is megabit most of the time, right? And a bit, basically in a byte, is 8 bits, right? So basically, whenever you see numbers like 300 meg broadband, divide that number by 8 to basically bring it into realms that you understand. So 400 megabit internet is basically 50 megabytes a second download, right? So it says 100 megabits per second. 5G tops out at 10 gigabits per second, right? So G with the small b, PS, right? So if it's a big B, it's gigabytes, megabytes. If it's a small b, it's gigabits, megabits, right? That means 5G is 100 times faster than current 4G technology at its theoretical maximum speed anyway, right? So why is this important? We're starting to live in the Internet of Things. In fact, we're already living in the Internet of Things, right? You get a Chromecast, you might have some smart speakers, right? And then that's all being linked up into your car. You might have a smart fridge, a smart TV. You even have smart washing machines and smart cookers, and you got the whole Philips Hue range of smart light bulbs and smart plugs, and basically interconnected world, right? But what's the last piece of that puzzle? You, right? And that's what Esau wants. Esau wants to basically add people into this Internet of Things, right? Now, the next problem you have of that, when you've got so many, for instance, if you might have for instance, the internet package I'm on, right? It's the top that I was able to get, which was 1 gigabits per second, right? Don't need that much speed, but the way it was advertised as for big families with lots of devices, right? And the reason why is because the more devices you have, then the slower the internet comes, because all of these different things are fighting for the same bandwidth, right? So imagine what do you call it, a pipe, right? A pipe at a certain size can only allow so much water through it, right? So then to allow more water, what do you have to do? You have to get a bigger pipe, right? So that's that bandwidth, right? So basically going up into the 5G range allows more data to be transferred at the same time, right? So once again, like in your household, you might have loads of different devices and your internet will become slower, right? Because basically you've got lots of different devices competing for the same for the same resources, for that basically same it's basically like having a shower, right? Everyone in the house having a shower, the pressure will eventually go down because the pipe into the building is still the same, but everyone's trying to use it at the same time. So what do? You increase the size of the pipe and the amount of water coming in, meaning that's lots of different you can have more taps running at the same time, right? Hopefully that made sense. But that's the whole point of increasing the bandwidth of amount of data you can transfer at a single time. It's all to aid the chip, right? This is what this man is ultimately doing. It's all to aid the chip, right? And I'll show you that in real terms, right? So I said divided by 8. So 10 gigabits in gigabytes, right, is 1.25 gigabytes a second, right? 1.25 gigabytes a second. Right, so you think about what that, what that looks like. A Blu-ray film is 10 to 15 what do you call it, gigabytes. So that basically means you can download an entire HD Blu-ray in 10 seconds, right? So now we actually change that to, if my keyboard will work, so this is gigabit, whereas megabit, right? You change that to the current. So currently, right, I know, let's currently you can only, it on 4G, that maxes out at 12.5 megabytes, right, per second, right? So that same, in fact, let's try and do the maths on there. Right, so that same Blu-ray, let's say we use a 12.5 gigabyte Blu-ray, right? We do the maths together, right? So there are, so it's 12.5, 1024 megabytes in a gigabyte. So we divide that by 12.5, right? What does that equal to? Right, so just to download 1 gigabyte at 1 gigabyte is now 81 seconds. Right, so 81 seconds, now we multiply that. We'll multiply that by 12. 983 seconds to download the same 12.5 gigabyte movie, Blu-ray, sorry, that 5G allows us to download in 10 seconds. Right? Basically showing you the importance of this 5G for this, for the new world order, for this chip to be pushed. Right? This is Daniel's 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Right? Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Right? The point I wanted to go into here is knowledge shall be increased. Right? Knowledge is being increased. Right? If I'm not that old, but when I was what 7-8 years old, you had the dial-up. If your moms wanted to use the phone, you couldn't be on the internet, right? And that was 2002, and 18 years later, they're talking about basically just being able to pull data out from anywhere, right? So knowledge has been increased on an exponential rate. That's part of what the Lord has gifted this man, because it's the Lord that's given him, right? Because Esau thinks that this is his enterprise. Little does he realize that this is the Most High's enterprise, so that he can judge these, judge people who take the Israelites that take the chip, right? Because this enterprise, this chip, this mark of the beast, this was written of, in the time of John the Revelator, right? And this is only now being fulfilled. So Esau's been given this knowledge for the purpose of fulfilling the scriptures, right? And this is 2 Thessalonians 2:3, right? It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, right? And Esau's, as referring to Esau, and Esau's being revealed, right? Starting with the apostles on down. That's why these videos are important, revealing who Esau is, because Esau ultimately doesn't, care if you call him a white man or a cracker or this, that, and the other, right? Because they have no heavenly judgment to those names, right? They can just call you a hater or this, that, and the other, right? But we're saying, nah, you're none of those things. You're Esau, when I was watching the video Apostle Ramlab did earlier on, right, where Esau was trying to make it seem like, for instance, the Arabs are the Edomites, or the Edomites have been done away with, or whatever, right? But no, they haven't. They're still here, right? And Apostle broke it down. It's like, well, the prophecy says it will be the Israelites that do away with the Edomites, right? So yeah, Esau's being revealed, right? So who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High, right? And that's what he's doing. Well, one of the attributes that they give that that of the Most High is he is omniscient, all seeing, knowing, right? So he's all knowing. Esau's trying to become all knowing, right, through his technology, which is why he's performed this diligent search. Psalm 64 speaks about how he performs a diligent search, right? So he's had his scientists in the labs basically working out how this can be achieved, right? So that's why you're seeing all these 5G towers going up, so that the data, the bandwidth, the amount of data that can be transferred at any one time, right, is what do you call it, can be done, right? Is increased, right? Because to get everyone on this chip, right, that's gonna require a lot of data, right? It's a load of data basically being passing through the system all at one time, right? um So yeah, hey, I just wanted to go into that real quick. As always, Lord's will, that was edifying. To the next time. Shalom.